All right, the Detroit Lions have not lost 2 in a row in 3 years, and that streak continues as the Detroit Lions go B-A against the Washington Commanders. Now, this is a game that we should have no doubt won, and we did win it. But the question now is Dan Campbell going to take over play calling for John Morton? Dan Campbell, you could tell it was on Twitter. He had the Meyer glasses on. You knew that Dan Campbell was doing play calling. Is this the reason that is this a sign that Dan Campbell is going to take over play calling for the Detroit Lions? But the Detroit Lions now move to 6-3 on the season, going BTA against the Washington Commanders. Now, yes, they were hurt, but you know what? I ain't trying to hear that. We were hurt last year. They got the victory over us. It is what it is, right? We got the victory over them. Their season is done. They dropped to 3-7. We moved to 6-3, and now we are in 6th place in the NFC. We need a Eagle win tomorrow over the Green Bay Packers. That will put us in first in the NFC North, so we need that victory. Let's do this real quick before we run out of time, and let's look at the stats for the Detroit Lions. Today was this is how you play against a team as abysmal as the Washington Commanders. This is a team that we should have dominated, just like we should have dominated last year, but we didn't. Or last week, we did not. This is how, and you can put it on John Morton. Like, now I'm ready to point fingers, bro. I'm ready to point fingers at John Morton. All right? Now, I want to see how we do against a good team in the Philadelphia Eagles. Lions, 30 first downs to 14. So we doubled them up, not only in points, but in first downs. Oh my God, passing for first downs, we doubled them up there. In rushing first downs, we doubled them up. Passing first downs, 19-9. Rushing first downs, 11-5. So 3 double ups. So we doubled them up on score, first downs, passing first downs, rushing first downs. First down from penalties, 0 apiece. Third down efficiency, Lions go 50%, 5 for 10. The Washington Commanders, 2 for 10. 20 abysmal percent. Fourth down, both teams were 100%, 2 for 2 for the Lions, 3 for 3 for the Commanders. Total plays, 68-51. We had 17 more plays than them. Total yards, 546 total yards to 288. We almost doubled them up there. Yo, this is crazy. Total drives, 9 apiece. Yards per play, 8 to 5.6. Passing, we were, 60 yards or so from doubling up there, 320 to 195. Completions versus attempts. There, Jared Goff went 25 for 35, just 10 incompletions. Marcus Mariota, 16 for 22. Yards per pass, 9.1 to 8.1. Interceptions thrown is going to be 0 apiece. The Detroit Lions did not have a turnover this game. Sacks, Jared Goff was clean. Offensive line got it together. Clean, 0 sacks. We got 2 sacks, all from Brian Branch. Man. Rushing 226 yards to 93. Rushing attempts, 33 to 27. Yards per rush, 6.8 to 3.4. Red zone, we went 66%. We went 4 for 6. They went perfect, 3 for 3. Penalties, 3 penalties for 1 yard. They had 8 for 66. No fumbles, no interceptions, no special teams or defensive touchdowns, and time of possession, 32-36 to 27-24. This is the game that we were expecting the Detroit Lions to have against the Minnesota Vikings. But look, maybe it is on Johnny. Maybe it is, man. Johnny Morton you could tell that Dan Campbell was calling the plays, and he had on the Meyer glasses, bro. Holly went and picked him up a pair right before the game started. This might signal the end of the Johnny Morton era in Detroit. Dan Campbell knew what was up. You had the disassociation in the locker room. There was a disconnect in the locker room. Dan felt it. He took control. This is what we might be dealing with in the future. And if so, it is what it is. Johnny Morton is probably one and done in Detroit. It was good to see. Jahmyr Gibbs needs 6 more touchdowns to pass Barry Sanders as the most scrimmage touchdowns in NFL history. He needs 6 more. He has 41. Barry had 47 before he turned 24. This is what you expected the Detroit Lions to do. Come out and dominate. Now, again, you know how I feel. We did not get a single defensive line sack. Aiden Hutchinson missed one, but take that aside. Brian Branch has both sacks for Detroit Lions. We need a defensive line, bro. Like, we going to have to get that defensive line to make a difference. If we want to go all the way, we going to need that. But right now, we just going to take this victory over the Washington Commanders. Today taught me Jameson Williams. It was great to see him involved. As a matter of fact, let me see what the actual box score is looking like. Let's see who did what for the Detroit Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs had 15 carries, 141 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery, I don't know if I like this. They had him in with the second team. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Khalif Raymond came through with rushing, kind of like an end around Sione Vaki. You had Kyle Allen as well. Jameson Williams was the leading scorer for the Detroit Lions. This is how you know that John Morton wasn't in control. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious. Jameson Williams, 6. This is the most that he's been targeted. He was targeted 7 times. He had 1 that didn't come up with the catch. This is all Dan Campbell, 100%. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a quiet day, 5 for 58. Sam Laporta, 5 for 53. Khalif Raymond, this is another sign that we got Dan Campbell calling the plays. 4 receptions for almost 50 yards from these guys. Isaac Tesla does what he does. 1 target, 1 reception, 11 yards. Let's look at the sacks because I want to see here. So they gave a half a sack to Roy Lopez. That's what I thought they were going to do. Now this, I do not like this number. That means that Roy Lopez is the first Detroit Lion on the defensive interior line to have a sack recorded. I knew they were going to do that when I saw it in real time, but then they said that Brian Branch on the telecast had got the sack. I knew that was going to happen. So Roy Lopez, our defensive interior, has half a sack on the season. But you know what? We won. We beat a bad team. Now the real test is going to come in against the Philadelphia Eagles next week. In a game that y'all don't want me to go, man. Y'all are shady, bro. It ain't my fault we losing these games or we winning these games. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I think it feels like Dan Campbell was like, look, let me sit down, young man. All right, let me show you how it's done. Let me show you how you do this thing. And Dan Campbell did that thing. Now we put up again 40+ points on a bad team. Now the real test is next week. Then we got the Giants after that, right? So we put up a lot of points on bad teams. Now we got to see what we can do against the good teams. And we're going to see next week in Philly. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. We are waiting on Dan Campbell to get in front of the media now, but you guys are awesome. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. As always, go Lions. Don't forget, this is the #1 Detroit Lions post-game show, independent Detroit Lions show on YouTube. : That's right. And as always, go Lions. : baby.